Welcome back to TR-49. Last time we found Endpiece and we tried to destroy it, but it's not as easy as that. The book can resurrect itself, as well as people as far as we
Alright
know
then.
from this story so far. And now our goal is to destroy the revision that created Endpiece instead, right? So we have to unwind history in order to be able to save the world as far as we know from the tyranny of the people who just keep resurrecting themselves. But we still also have plenty titles to identify. We currently have 38 of the 50 titles named. We found 40 pieces of writing that we have to title, and we have 37 of the titles in the list, right? So we know of a lot more things that we have actually named. Only a few things that we have codes for that are not named, that I haven't been able to nail down what they are quite yet. Now, the game seems to be leaving us little extra hints all over. That it's taking notes for us that I'm sometimes not quite sure whether I've seen that piece of information or is this like it just appears here or I've missed reading into it. One of the things is the notes for Aliz here, which was the daughter of the creators of the machine, and she, for a while, was working on it then left. It says she abandoned the archive in 1985 and then found a letter written the year she left when she came back, right? It's like, and I'm pretty sure when she was saying that, when she came back, it was saying like, "Father, I found your letter right away." So it would have been a letter her father wrote, and therefore his name is Cecil Caulderly. So is there something from Cecil in 85? A code for that would be CC 85. Nope. I'm completely misreading it. Okay, well, I guess we don't know who the letter is written by. May not be her father. But if we go to her father, Cecil, we also get a note here that says wrote a new log entry every 10 years. And we have found CC-49 and CC-59. CC-49 is, in theory, when they built this machine, and yes, it says it's 10 years old today in CC-59. He dies in 77, but that means there might be a CC-69. Like, I'm pretty sure we've been to CC-49 quite a lot at the start of the game, but I just want to revisit this trail to rebuild the knowledge. Yeah, so this is what drops us towards the existence of Pemberton and QL Publishings. And there is a note from Aliz on this one, yes, where she talks about him sitting at the machine and feeding it the Bible. We've never figured out what the code might be for the Bible, but it is a title we can link to something. Yes, and it seems to me one day you went inside it too, which by now I have speculated that this might actually be a possibility. Not maybe that the machine can swallow people, like actually eat them, but by absorbing their writings, the machine can somehow recreate them as if it's recreating other writings, right, by extrapolating things. So yeah, so this is where we started with a lot of the stuff. Then CC-59 says it's 10 years old today. Yes, the machine is 10 years old today. Yes, they mention XY78, which is an already title we've named from Xavier, and a signed edition of Rampages. That's how we then get to the fact that JS and IA are the same people. And yes, that also gives us the Pemberton walk and the fact that, yes, the whole revision thing seeing through the walls. But yes, from here, therefore, is there a CC-69? Yes, there is. Another 10 years. The machine is old now, like a friend to me. Recent additions, of which I am proud most. Notable JS-24, Greenwalker, and XY-50Y. That's definitely new, because that's an even older writing from Xavier. I think Greenwalker is a named book by Emma. JS-24, I'm gonna have to check. All significant in very different ways. I tried to remove Rampage Azimuth Ascending from 39 and couldn't. Bea will not tell me her password. She says I should already know. Woman, who can build on such quicksand? Okay. Well, we know her password, but I'm not sure removing the rampages is important, but we will know that IA is the used name for the Rampage book, even though it's Joshua Silverton actual the actual person that wrote this, right? Because he was using a pseudonym, yes. So Joshua Silverton is the actual person, but he was writing as Isambard Arklovich. So we know there will be an IA-49, but there's a note from Cecil as well, so CC-11. There is no use trying to hide the truth. Beatrice has left me. She kept Aliz away too. She says I have become a hermit, Quasimodo in his tower. But it's because of what happened with Henry. Hermit is not the worst word she could use for what I am. Okay, well, Henry, I think is a new name here. I've not seen it yet. So what happened to him? If I could change this thing about myself, I would. And perhaps with the machine I can. When I was a boy, my father took me fishing. It was the only time we spent together. We used wicker traps that sat in the river and caught the trout that flickered by. This machine is such a trap. It catches ideas and holds them by the fins. Contained and yet wildly alive. Yes, well, we've gone through the fact that the name of this game is basically Trap, and therefore speculated that he is somehow trapped in it, like a copy of him is trapped in it, and so are various other things, because it recreates them from the information it's gathered. Well, just to confirm, JS24 is something we do know about. No. This seems new. Yes, this is new. Okay. So, what is it? Joshua Silverton, a 21-year-old Yorkshireman, tries to join up cognitive science and astrophysics and keeps getting stuck on God. Semiotic assertion is the result. Okay, so this is likely semiotic assertions itself. Because we already had that title from his index, but we didn't have the code. See RA 2 years later, making a much better first at it. RA, is that also a new code? So there will be RA 26. Silverton knew he didn't have the stuff. A few years later, he's resorting to theft to make his name. Not something a Mancunian would ever do. Yes, so that theft I mentioned, I'm pretty sure it goes back to this whole rivalry with Kendrik, Pinkin Kendrik, not Emma Kendrik. The theft was a revision, right? It actually Kendrik stole from him, as far as I understood. Anyway, so yes, I think this is the semiotic assertions.
Okay, let's see.
We've heard of them. So JS24 is semiotic assertions.
When one looks out into space, one sees the majesty of the cosmos, and you can't help but think, man, so small, what good is he? And yet, who made the steam engine? It wasn't the Nazis.
Okay, well, that's what this one is about. From here, yes, we can... There were more things in the previous piece we found, but from here we can go to RA26. I think that may be a completely new person. I finally found it. Reverend Alfonso. Okay, yes, this is new. We did know about, I think, Alfonso, but we didn't have the other letter. Yes, okay, so this unlocks that, and yes, it said that he wrote a masterpiece. I had a note. The note has disappeared. Oh, actually, because it was 4 years before 1930, which means RA26 is the masterpiece. And he lived to 100 years old. Interesting. I finally found it. Reverend Alfonso drawing dark matter entanglement and theory together. I fed in the Bible already because in my view it must all be connected if any of it is true. R.A. lived for 100 years, like a reward, dying in 63. Did he meet PK? Probably not. Kendrik would have looked through him. Okay, so if he lived 100 years and died in 1963, it means he was also born in 1863, so in theory RA63 is his index? We don't know what the title of this is, but if we find his index, then we will. So RA63. That's the problem of this machine, where it only uses the two final numbers from the year, which means, yes, if you have someone who lived that long, right, what is the meaning of 63? But yes, he wrote My God, He Dances, and this is the only thing in this machine. So if we go back to RA26, this can be named as My God, He Dances, which is a title we have already found.
My God, He Dances.
My God, he is a poet. How the gaps between the lines to find the
So that's apparently all that there is from him. It's just this one piece of writing and his index. So now we have 10 titles remaining to be named. Still, the Bible. Like, what? You could, use some silly thing for the Bible, like write the year as 00 or something. And again, the Bible, like, who would you treat as an author? Who would you treat as the year? I guess from here we're going back and following the other threads. So we know Green Walker, because that was another book by Emma. Yes, there we go, EK65. But XY55 is definitely new. Youngman's first book. Short, simple, and obsessed with the observation of Mars through poor quality telescopes. DME isn't mentioned. How could it be? Then Youngman idly suggests that he sees more on the rereading of his own text than was initially present. Many years later, he looked deep into that pool. Another milestone for me. I will have to file another of my decade markers. Also, Latour is quite wrong. Okay, Latour is quite wrong. Interesting. What is he wrong about? There is a note from Aliz. Not bad for someone born in the 18th century, even if only just. Okay, so this gives us a clue potentially to Youngman's birth year so that we could get his index. There's also something... This is interesting, right? Because here it talks about the decade markers, right? That Cecil writes a note every decade.
Let's see.
But this note system here already told us this before, and I'm not sure whether this just generates stuff for us so to help us along, or did I read this somewhere else and just forgotten, right? Because I found a few places where the game seems to almost like give you a push towards the right answers, even though it didn't seem like I should have gotten it. Now, he died in 77, so I don't presume he was writing anything in 79. Although we know resurrections are real in this game. With this note here, like being born just in the 18th century, that would imply he would have been born like at the very end of 1700s then? So could there possibly be XY? Either it's 99 because it would be like 1799 or 1800, so try 99. Hey, we're going somewhere. So he wrote Matter in the Dark and on the intangibility of matter. I'm pretty sure we have named intangibility of matter. Yes, so the 78 book is an intangibility of matter, which means the other book is Matter in the Dark. And we already had that title from somewhere else. That's the one thing. This game takes a lot of notes and it helps you with a lot of things, but there isn't an easy way to go back to where did I find this title. Have to take notes or remember. So yes, that means XY55 is Matter in the Dark.
Words are entangled with the concepts that they embody, and with the conscious preconceptions that animate those concepts. Thus, words have a power to create as well as to describe.
Yes, so this is him hitting upon the concepts of words can make reality. Okay, so another thing we saw mentioned was one of the Rampage books. So it's Azimuth Ascending from 39. So that one is IA39. So let's name it first, because then it's all unscrambled. So IA39, Rampage, Azimuth Ascending.
The machine tilted its head to one side and began to chuckle. A dark noise like a river of chocolate running over cherry stones. Nothing about it made her feel any more comfortable. She tugged at the manacles on her wrists and said, bravely, "Get it over with then." The machine nodded, lifting the bishop high before slamming it down. Checkmate, it purred.
Playing chess with a robot. The fifth of Isamabard Arkovich 7-part Rampage cycle. A sentient robot with a penchant for disaster falls in love with a tentacled alien of indeterminate gender. Okay, that seems like a very forward book for the year 1939. The result is a fascinating exploration of power and self-knowledge on a canvas the size of the universe. These books will, I am sure, be remembered in the decades to come as signposts signifying both great social and artistic change. Another reference to Silverton and a powerful evil magic which destroys the caster. Is this a warning for his friend? Yeah, the magic that destroys the caster, as in them playing around with revision. Okay, so that's one of the Rampage books. And while, yes, they seem just like weird sci-fi flicks, maybe they are something to do with the whole story of that love triangle and them destroying each other. So what else can we pursue here? We have, again, Aliz. I've tried to find more of her notes. In 81, she comes over, tries to take over the ward, but I'm not sure it gives us anything to immediately pursue this one, right? She comes over, she starts working on the machine, even though the mother didn't want that. And that's what leads us to the maze, which we still haven't truly solved, so we'll have to get back to that too. Her note from 1999, right? Because she abandons this whole thing in 85, but then she returns in 99. I see now I had a lot of noise, and one book so important it makes me shiver to think that I might have missed it. So this links to Maze, and this links to LR81. So that's the important book, right? Because that's the mention. Okay, so this is links to the literary review of the book that Emma Kendrik wrote, and specifically about Endpiece. Because here where she says, it was the death of a man I truly loved that made me think of it, and then Lemarchand works throw her away, which is, it led her to revision, is that she talking about Silverton's death, right? Because even though she married Kendrik, that was through being manipulated through revisions, and Silverton was the man she truly loved. And it's like, I am suspecting that she brought him back to life, right? Because of that whole, he wrote a letter potentially after he died, but I don't know when. So in the notes from Aliz here, she doesn't mention her late husband. She does hint a new one's coming in, but she knows what she's got. She knows what her book can do. Christ, that it wasn't an accident, she knew. Did she send PK mad as well? Or was it someone else? His own 74 account blames it on a book. I guess I could believe that now, yes. So I don't think she did it. I think Silverton made PK mad. It's just that there was a delay in it because I think he wrote something for him, but then Kendrik didn't open it until like years later. So there was a delay in that whole thing playing out. But she then finds out about hair manipulation and she brings Silverton back. But when, right? It has to be after she wrote Endpiece, of course, because she needed the book, but not quite sure when. And it only links to things we've already known about, so it doesn't lead us to anything new. Should we pursue more literary review, right? Because we have a few of them named. We know that there is a lot of them. There was a note somewhere about it running for a very long time. It is, I think, again, a yearly thing, but we were just skipping to various years depending on material. We found 22 that we know that the title will be like literary review issue something, right? But we didn't even find that because something has to refer to it in text in order for us to identify it. I think the little stars next to the names are indications that there are like missing links. So yes, this is volume 44 released in 53, and yes, it does link to JS29 and LR59, so the other literary review volume 50. But there is something else, I guess, in the shadow of the passage. I guess in the shadow of a passage that we haven't yet identified. Like we have the title, but it's not here. Now, in the shadow of a passage, based on this here, right? It details how Kendrik's research was stolen in the late 20s when the professor had an inappropriate affair with a student. The man has no shame. In the shadow of a passage, he spills it, gathers and all. So this is where he writes the whole situation of like, yeah, Silverton, he stole my work, even though that's actually not true. But I haven't found it. I've not seen anything that would match the description, right? So I am still to figure it out. The other one, the issue 50, also has some unresolved links. So volume 50, new mission for the review, no more spiritualism, no more talking to the dead with candles and smoke. 1900 files are out. From now on, it's all about science and talking to the dead with telephone and radio sets. What is the other link here, right? Because HP is named directly. CC59 is what we're supposed to extrapolate that I will make an entry under CC the same year. So something else in this text leads us to another book. The one thing here is it talks about 1900 values. So it mentions a year specifically, and therefore LR00 could be a thing that it's pointing to. There we go. As far as I know, there is a lot of literary reviews, like it said a number, there's quite a bunch of them. I'm just not sure if they're expecting us to just go year by year and that's it. Okay, so this index has no source. Okay, so this isn't an actual issue. I can't find literary review 1.
Okay, let's see.
But it gave this to us as a title. It automatically filled literary review as LR00, even though it's not actually the issue 1. Printed yearly from 1900 by a small press, except for during the 2 Great Wars, it's been eaten the old-fashioned way, by time. The machine suggests what it contained, a mission statement like the one in LR59, so that's where we just were, where they were like, no more those values, now these values. Notable things from that year: Pemberton, adverts for Ouija boards, candles, and photography materials. Should I find a copy, I will feed it in. And there is a list, so we can actually get all of the issues that are here. So volume 18.
There's a title right here. Literary Review, Volume 18.
And volume 90. So there's actually only 2 that we need
Better
to...
note this title down. Literary Review, Volume 90.
Yes, there's only 2 that we have to find. I think volume 18 might actually just be LR22.
Literary Review, Volume 18.
Yeah, exactly. We were just missing the title. So we can go to it.
If we write like cowards, and we talk like cowards, we become cowards. A coward will stick up for no one, even themselves. Dictators love a good coward. They are easy meat. They taste like chicken.
Yes, it unlocks the little bit of flavor text on it that we named it now. But it's all done now. It's named, all the links are done, so nothing for us to see here. But we've also learned that this machine contains volume 90. And then volume 90 should be from 1999. So we can name it as well.
Literary Review, Volume 90.
Our early issues were, of course, extraordinary. But after that, the magazine really hit its stride and became something truly indispensable. Every schoolchild knows nothing was molded 20th century thought quite like the Literary Review.
They were feeling quite proud of their work. You'll hate this, Father. Really hate it. Volume 90 of Literary Review. I can hear your voice. Sheer puffery. Editors backslapping themselves for making the full century even when they didn't. I know Peel was supposed to be a resistance hero, but that book from 72 is puffery too. Or was he the other lot? I think that references the fact that the index said that they stopped for the wars, right? So even though by year they have existed for a century, they haven't released a century worth of issues. And the 72 book is the editor, Pierre Latour. He wrote a book about how he was the great hero in the war in the resistance, and then his daughter wrote some pamphlet about how he sucked. If only they knew what you had here. If only they knew about EK's book. Father, I'm worried someone does know. The next card I write will be about that. Okay, so Aliz is aware that the Endpiece is powerful, right? Through analyzing the archive, she's learned it too. So what's her note? I almost wiped this. It felt like it was just spoiling this place. Luckily, I know the password. Mother told me it's a family secret. Okay, well, we know the password because the machine told us the password. And all the links here is also already filled. So while this lets us complete our literary review collection, it doesn't lead anywhere else. What else we have? The boot index. It still has 2 links, but they're not the 2 links named here, right? Those are like, one is just like a previews that takes us to the last entry, which is how we started exploring. And then the archive is the source control that lets us wipe, and it says we can make, but we can't make. So some secrets are hidden here, but we don't really know. We have the source control, we have the make print things, but we can't print. Wipe things, indices, and the other colors for the things. Abbi, our name, is Program Associator. Interesting. I assume like just the codes for them don't go anywhere. They do go anywhere, okay. That's interesting, because obviously on pages where they are named as people who like added a node, obviously entering that opens the node, but then putting that in on a page that doesn't have a node just takes us to a different page. Okay, so I've been missing this the entire time because I only tried it to open notes. That means we actually have all of them here to explore. Interesting. So Cecil Caulderly is the genius who began work on this machine in 1943, although he admits it was the QM55 of Beatrice which brought it to life. Interesting. He also has, on good authority, the most damned fine mustache of any man his age. What a dash. Okay. And then there's a note from Beatrice. Good thing this machine can separate truth from fantasy. He like wrote that he has the best mustache, and she's like, yeah, it's you can't make it real. You can't make fetch happen. So is QM55 a source or a person? Let's find out.
Quantum state storage will allow us to compress all the information from the index, not just words and characters, but the loops and swirls of handwriting too, into an efficient electronic form.
Okay, so that's from Beatrice about how they're storing all of it. At Cecil's request, I have fed a copy of this design into the machine. It can now understand itself, or so he claims. It does seem to work better now, oddly enough. Okay, so the machine now understands itself, and it can expand itself, recreate itself, make itself work better, and Cecil has more to say. I have run various tests. I am now convinced this paper of BDs has the property, under the constant observation of the machine, of creating a DME effect that results in its own validation. In short, this machine works because it works, and the machine itself is the proof. Marvelous. Yes, it's like, it's making itself make itself. BD, that may be Beatrice's code in terms of like her name, surname, because we don't know what her, like obviously we know her name, my name was Caulderly, but D might be her maiden name. Like they met first making this and then married. So that's what we get here. More details about how this whole thing works. Okay, but then it says of B47, that's Beatrice's code, but it won't take us anywhere here because it just opens her node. But if we go to a page that does not mention her, like the TR-49, and then we click on her code, that will take us somewhere. Cecil is a dear, but he does not understand that if this machine of ours is to think, it must be wise. You cannot communicate in a vacuum tube. So I've been feeding it the classics, and of course he has been releasing them again. Well, dear, I have sealed that option up, behind the name of the creation we haven't made yet. Checkmate, Cecil. Okay, so this is about like, she was trying to add certain books and he was like, no, wipe them. So that's why the wipe system is sealed behind the name of a creation we haven't made yet. So the password was Will, which was obviously a name of a person. So there was some stuff about her, like she wanted to name her sons after characters from a book. And then she had a daughter, but then there was something about Aliz was saying she had a brother, so his name may have been Will. Maybe that's what that leads to. Beatrice Dooler. Okay, so yes, her main name was starting with a D. Dooler is the cleverest woman alive and also surely the most beautiful. I can only hope she does not find this annotation before I finally ask her to marry me. Yes, they were making a machine and they were flirting and all that kind of stuff. Well, this doesn't lead us to like finding any more titles. This is just the background of it all. Can we also go to Aliz then? One of the sources, something I read that didn't want to be read. The power of revision only lasts as long as it's being read. So find it, wipe it, please, for me. Okay, so this is Cecil asking Aliz for something. Then Beatrice writes, I said this place would kill you. Perhaps if this machine has said it, you would have listened. I'm glad I didn't tell little Billy one about you. It's terrible, but some things are better left unknown. Okay, so here, I think I've seen this page before as well, like this reading things I didn't want to read. and that he says, wipe it, please. And this is probably where we got the year he died, because I got it from it just saying that in the notes here, right? But I guess I didn't quite interpret it like that at the time. So did he also read like the letter that killed Kendrik or something like that? And it happened to him as well? And then yes, Beatrice talks about little Billy, which again, confusingly in English names is like Billy is short for William, but then when I read it like that, it probably did not occur to me at all that his full name would have been William, because just not a connection that I have thought of on top of my head. So then she's basically revealing that she had a son after she's left the husband, and she just didn't tell the husband nor the son about it. And then Aliz writes when she returns in 99. Father, I tried. I couldn't find it. I found something else instead, something bigger, I think. I'm going to try to use it. Wish me luck when you see me. Okay, so she couldn't find whatever it was that killed him, but she found Endpiece and potentially tried to bring her father back using it. And yes, this has an unknown link, because potentially it links to the thing that he wanted wiped. So we have to find what that is somehow. Anywhere else. Does Abbi actually lead us to anything? I think we tried that even in the stream in the very first time we played the game. But, oh, it does go somewhere. Interesting. I wonder why it didn't go there anywhere then. Like, were we on the wrong page? Or do we have to get somewhere in the story for this to work? Or did we not use AB81? Did we code it wrong? Association-based bitwise interpolator. Yes, this thing, right? We are not a person. We think we're a person, but we're not. We're just somehow part of the machine. Abbi is currently active, yes. Corpus analysis, 50 sources. Status, 88%. Stop process. We can stop ourselves. We can just turn it off and we're gone. Like, we're not gonna fix everything, but we're just gonna say, I don't want to be part of this. Goodbye. Deactivate Abbi software. All active associative detection will be lost. Okay, if I do it, that might kill my save. And I'm not sure there's a way for me to like save now and then come back to it. So potentially don't want to do that right now. Yes. But that confirms the theory that I had basically since the opening kind of intro of the game. Like, Abbi is not a person. Abbi is part of this whole machine, some sort of consciousness created within it. The letter that Aliz found, it wasn't written by her father. It was written by someone else in 85. Someone wrote something in 85. I assume not her. Oh, it was her. So I was like, did she write a letter while she was leaving? And it looks like she did. My father wrote about the things inside this machine like they were angels in heaven. But they're nothing. I fed it 3 books he would have loved. Notes and discoveries, Doomwild, Men Must Devour. Shredded them, page by page. Is the wars kind of stupid? Look at the comment on GA00. Look at the card he wrote the year before he died. Okay, well, that's new information, but before we go off this page, there's another note from Hare. I don't want to let you down, Dad, but you know what? You let me down. You let Mom down. I've given 4 years to this place. I won't give a day more. This is linked to 2 more unknown things as well. Well, it takes us to notes and discoveries we have named. Doomwild we have named, I'm pretty sure. No, we know of Doomwild, but we haven't found it. It's one of the Emma Kendrik Mayflower books. So we gotta find it still. And Men Must Devour, we have it named. What's GA00? Is this finally the Bible? Like, 00 would make sense, like, it was at the beginning of time. But GA? Because I tried to, like, GO maybe, like a silly thing, but no, GA. Beatrice thought to include this book as a reference point. Should it change? We will. I hope no. Okay, so they're saying, like, if the machine is malforming the books into its own ways, then they're like, we should notice, right? Then again, perhaps it is already too late. Things are in motion under the unwrinkling gaze. I apologize for surprise offer and date. It made me chuckle. The machine has taken it more seriously. Yes, so it's not quite what I was thinking it would be. But yes, then can we name this the Bible, the point of reference? Yes, there we go.
In the beginning was the Word.
And then there's a note from Aliz. Someone returns from the dead in this, because people believed. Hold on, Dad. You were perfect, just as you were. I'm coming for you. Okay. So was it not Emma who started all of this? Was it actually in the Bible that they told us about being able to bring people back just by believing in it? Well, at least that's one mystery solved of a book we couldn't quite find earlier on. Okay, so the only remaining link from AC85 is the Doomwild book from Emma, but not sure when did she write this. Like, we can go to her index, because now I think the indexes are in order, so she would have written it between Dead Voice and Green Walker. But then if the links are in order, that would say that's not it, right? Because if the titles are in order, Doomwild is second, but we are missing the third link, and the links do appear to be in the order of the years. Oh, but that's because EM39 is the letter, right? So it's not her book. So I think it still stands that the titles are in order, but there is the extra things like letters they wrote. Yeah, so this brings us back on the trail of the letters. And yes, this is the Man Was Devoured, which is what Silverton wrote, sent it to Kendrik, then Kendrik read it, went insane, but before he went completely insane, wrote The Man Must Devour, which explains the whole situation. And this is what Cecil reads at 77, right? Where I was like, oh, there's something wrong with this letter, I've not been able to shake its words from my mind, and he then dies, right? So I think that's what kills Cecil. And then it's where Aliz writes, yeah, something even more wrong about the letter he wrote after this one, which I think leads us to, there will be a letter Silverton wrote after he died, but we don't know which year. Like, there are many years after the year he died. So he dies in 43, but yeah, we don't know when he was brought back. It would have been after Endpiece was written, right? Because before that, she didn't have the power to do it. And this is linked to two things. Well, let's just dig around all of those links more. Like, there are undiscovered links in EM36, Dead Voice. Yeah, so this is her first novel. Emma, that is before she marries. Medium can see ghosts of people who have not yet died. They tell her how they died, and so she's able to save them. Until the medium herself dies, only to tell herself how to avoid it. The paradox ends the book. 8 years later, she married, changed her name. Perhaps she had a child. Interesting. I've not seen any other mention of it and whether the child is of relevance. 8 years after that, age 43, she restarted her novelist career a second time. She kept the naming scheme from her early work. Okay, so it tells us about another book because there's a missing link, and I guess I've sort of missed that connection before, where the game is like sometimes asking us, hey, years after that happened, work it out. And it also tells us her age here, which would have given us her birth year for the index, but we've actually been to the index already. Which means that might finally take us to Doomwild, because that's the only book of her we're missing. So 8 years after this, so from 36, 8 years after that, 44, she marries. We've already have that done. 8 years after that, so 52, she restarted her novelist career a second time. So she would have been called E.K. Emma Kendrik. 52. Is this new finally? Yes. Emma Mayflower's first novel after marriage to Kendrik is a night and day compared to her earlier work. Writing about marriages improved by it? Who knew? Yes, the doom of the title. So yeah, this is...
Alright then.
Doomwild finally.
Doomwild.
EK52.
Morning and evening, like night and day. In the morning, she was enamoured of it all, but by the evening she wanted nothing more than to jump on the nearest train and head into the sea. It was like her life was a song whose tune she was constantly forgetting.
The doom of the title applies to the career of the protagonist, a young woman who enters the stultifying male-dominated world of academia. But she's brilliant, better than the rest, and of course, she comes out on top in the end. it skewers her own husband. His novel from the previous year is acutely lampooned. Maybe this is what sent him loopy. In short, it's a gas. I've got to find her last book now. Okay, so it links to another thing we don't know about, which might be the husband's book, his novel from the previous year, because we are missing more things from here. So he is PK, and that would be 51. Yes, so In the Shadow of a Passage, yes, we've had this title for a while, but we couldn't link it to anything. And we still have other unnamed PK books, but yes, this is In the Shadow of a Passage.
Of a Passage.
I send her flowers, she sends them back. I send her letters, she sends them back. I dragged her to my room and I told her, and she wouldn't listen. So I had to give her something that she valued.
In the Shadow of a Passage was Pinkin Kendrik's 4th novel. I'm cataloging this because Dad did, even though I think he did it by mistake. The plot? This nasty university lecturer begins a torrid and over-described relationship with a student until the gasp text of his new research work on dark matter entanglement, no less, is stolen and published by a rival academic. Yes, so this is this whole Silverton supposedly stole from him. The reader knows from the outset what the twist is going to be, but will the lecturer accept the two were in cahoots all along? Seems like no one liked it when it came out, although weirdly PK's wife didn't complain too much, seeing as it's definitely about her. Yes, because that's the whole she was with Silverton and he paints it as if she betrayed Kendrik and helped Silverton steal, but then he somehow takes her back and marries her. So definitely shenanigans. Okay, so that gets us another book, another title, but there's still more to be found. More from Silverton, which again is I think is the letter he wrote when he was resurrected. More from Kendrik, PK-32. But then, is this all from Emma then? We've got it all? Or will be there more, like, hidden letters that are not named as her literary works? So for Kendrik, we still have PK-32 that is unnamed. This is his first publication on dark matter and its perception. It's heavy, intense, reminiscent of Silverton's 1929 work, but more ambitious. And then he starts writing the novels. So we do have Dark Matter and the Veil still as the title. So potentially this is it, but now I'm like, once again, it's like, where did the name come from? Does it make sense? J is 29, because this resembles it. So, but this one is quantum conceptualist nature. So it's not like there's some sort of play on the titles here. And the academicalist journal here is not helpful because it's about the novels, not about this paper. So working backwards, TD-41, which is the only book from the Thaddeus Detzer guy. This is where we get the dark matter and the veil mentioned, but literally like context here is almost zero. But it links to AJ, Academicalist Journal, and it links to PK-32. Right, so at this point, the game seems to be basically like pointing with all of its power to say, hey, PK-32 is dark matter and the veil. So I think that's where this is going.
Dark matter and the veil.
The universe is more than the sum of its components, with the rest being dark, energyless, a potential left over from creation. Our universe is not an object under glass, but an uncompleted thing.
That's his actual scientific publication before he started to write the novels in order to mess with timelines. So now, majority of what we have remaining in the titles, and we have all the titles, which means this is it. This is all of the stuff we have to find and name. There can't be more that's like extras, but not titles we have to actually identify. A lot of them are the Rampage books, so we have to find all of them. I have I-42, which is one of those, but I don't know which one yet. And then Doom Comes the Doctorate, Primitive Man, He Who Remains, and The Weapon of the Enemy. So again, may have to work backwards of like, where did I find it? I think we're still continuing on this whole, if there are dots, if there are unexplored links, we gotta go in there and we gotta figure it out. Figure out what is it trying to tell us. But then, yes, we also have those like extra letters from people that they will be not treated the same as the titles, right? They just tell us more of the story behind this whole thing. So more rechecks of notes. Where did I find what and where? I know I'm still missing more for Pinkin Kendrik, and he's still got 2 titles open with links that might be there, and his picture lets us know that we haven't found everything, right? So if we go to PK-37, yes, this is where the concept of the long triangle was introduced, that we then were diving into further. We know about PK-36, that one's sorted out. And this mentions 8059, which is one of the actual literary books that were here. I think we've seen it, but I'm not sure we've read all of the notes. I had to show the idols of the king to the machine. It talks like nothing mattered. I have to show it weight and heft and passion, the way a word can be wielded. Even Beatrice agrees. So there's a Cecil note. I've added Shallot 35. It seems to me the machine likes that one. It sings bits out loud when it's inactive. Yes, this is the... So yes, someone mentioned in the comments that there was a Lady of Shallot reference, and this is what Abbi says at the very beginning of the game, further going into that fact that Abbi is part of the machine, right? She's reciting the stuff that the machine likes. So we can probably find the Lady of Shallot if we go to 8035. We'll do that in a minute, but first there's more notes. Oh dear Cecil. If only you read more poetry books and spent less time tearing them up in front of the little Aliz. Maybe then I could trust you. And then Aliz is here in 85. My mother was so hard on him towards the end. I know he retreated from her. She felt betrayed by it. But what else could he do? Yes, they had their disagreement over the machine. Can we go to 8035? And this will be the Lady of Shallot. Not as strong an influence on, say, IA32 as 8059, but still huge. Okay, IA is gonna be one of the Arkovich books, which are really Silverton books, and we got a note from Aliz here as well. Was the Lady of Shallot your favorite, father? Then I'll leave my goodbye here. This is my last. I wrote why already, but I'm going to find William. Would you prefer I say Will? Did your machine tell you about him, father? Okay, so this is where she truly reveals the existence of William and his full name. And actually, can we go to Will, or is it just giving us the password here? Let's find out. Okay, it doesn't take us anywhere. It's not a code we can visit, so it's just because it's a password for later. This links to something else. Possibly IA32 is not a book we have yet? Yes, this is new. This is one of the Rampage books, right? Because that will be all of the IA things. Beatrice has suggested I continue feeding in novels for breath. I disagree, so here is my contribution. The first volume of Islamabad Arkovich Rampage Cycle. The King of Great Britain discovers a long-buried spaceship by the shores of Lake Windermere. Isn't that a location from where strange horticulture and strange antiquities take place? Soon, the king has been kidnapped, and only his beloved queen can save him from the trashing pits of the moon. The second book, Swords in the Dark, was published very quickly. I'll get that one too. After, Arkovich wrote Sword. He had only planned so far. So this gives us the start of the Rampage books, and I think we also found the last of the Rampage books, so we should be able to then work with that timeline to find them all. Well, that got us some little bits, although nothing fully named. So back to PK-37, which is where we gone off to the whole literature trail. Is there more here? Because it does have a link that's still uncovered, so it's probably at least one of the things we're missing. On his profile, it says he published his debut novel, age 47. So his debut novel is the previous one. PK-36? Yes, this is a novel, Kendrik's first, and that's what brought us to then PK-37, because that's the sequel. And then there's a third novel, but they say it took him longer to write, so we don't know the amount of time it was. But that means he was aged 47 in the year 36, so we can probably at least get his index if that's of importance. which means he was born in 1889, so PK89 might be his index. Yes, there we go. Dark Matter and the Veil, Time and Temporality, Temporality Waits for No More, Doom Comes to Doctor. Yes, so that is his third novel, and that is the thing that we are still missing. And then in The Shadow of Passage and Men Must Devour, we have named those already, yes. So that's the only one of his books we're missing, but we don't have the code. Now, again, we're getting into this, the game is giving us things, right? And how much we should be reading into that instead of trying to find it through reading proper information. Because here it is PK 32, 36, 37, and then it gives us something free. Right, after 37, because they are also in order, we don't have a lot of 30ths left, right? We have 38, 39. So we could just be trying those to get there. It's just like, I'm always bothered by the whole, is this the correct way to do things, right? What is within the rules of the game and what is cheesing it? Well, actually, if we think about this, we can think about this in a way of, well, if it was 36 and 37, the two books one after another, and it took him longer to write the next book, and we take the assumption that it was still in the 30s because the game just seems to be very intent on telling us that, then 39 is the year, right? Because it wouldn't be 38 if it wasn't year by year. So PK 39, this must be the Doom Comes to the Doctorate, right? Because that's the last thing from him we're missing because we've seen his index just now. So PK 39.
Doom Comes to the Doctorate.
Listen, she says. I know it sounds outlandish, but it's simple, really. We've all been doing it for years here and there by accident. I just bottle it, if you like, and I'll give it to you for a price.
I read the others, but this one is clearly all true. An accusation, wrapped in a novel like a flimsy disguise. A young student finds a notebook from a dying university professor in his pigeonhole, outlining a principle that can change reality itself. But before he can make sense of it, it's stolen from him, and things around him begin to change. Until one day, a young woman comes to sell it back to him. Okay, so this is, back to this whole situation between Silverton and Kendrik and Myfler, and later Emma Kendrik. There's a note from Aliz. Did Kendrik make this true? Did he dream this after his world has changed, like an echo? Is it fiction when it all happened? I can't keep it straight. How does this machine stay sane? Yes, like, what is truth? What is revisions? Because obviously we right now exist in a universe after all of those things have happened, right? So we don't actually know what the real timeline is supposed to be. Okay, so that told us that Pinkin Kendrik is done. That was everything from him. It took me forever to get all of his titles straight. Now, another thing I was doing was looking through again the notes, the where did I find things, and all that stuff. And there was more about Emma, right? And I've noticed that something we get very early on, Breakcode. That is one of her later books, and actually it's the last one we have in this machine. It is under the code ES92. This is basically where we find our first book, I think. This is Breakcode, I think, is where we learn how to assign titles to books. And it's the fact that this one, written in 92, and I assume this means 1992, not 1892, because it's also ordered like this on this. Her last name starts with S now. It's not M anymore, her maiden name. It's not K from her first husband, because she had EK for a while, then after he dies, she writes under EM, but then she writes under ES. And of course we know that we have S for Silverton, Joshua Silverton. Again, she brought him back and then she married him. I just can't find that bit where he comes back to life because he's supposed to have written a letter when that happened. Yes, this brings us to Cece wrote a note in 49, which I'm pretty sure we've seen. Yeah, that's the very first one. And I found the message you left for me right away. Like, have we seen this message? I'm not quite sure. Like, was it the messages asking for help? That's what she refers to? And then here we also have the reference to the weapon of the enemy, because that's what I was also coming back for here, right? This is, as of yet, unknown book. We don't know what the code for it is. You'd hate this one, it has me scared. Just as Emma is writing her last book, the worst of the worst come back. Okay, so actually, if this is Emma's last book in 92, the weapon of the enemy could have been also written in the same year. So something published in 92. But of course, we need to know who wrote it. Oh, and I found a letter written the year I left but hidden. Left for me to find, or don't know. 50 sources in all. Yes, so I think we haven't found that letter because this links, of course, to various things, right? CC-49, which is what we get in this text. AC-85, which is her other note from the time she left. The literary review 99. And yes, two separate things. So the weapon of the enemy is one of them, and then the letter is the other one. And it's not, the weapon of the enemy is then not what Cecil would hate. It's something else. Has her scared. Interesting. But I'm not sure there is enough information here to go on about, right? It gives us no names, no years, other than if we see something written in 92 again, we will probably know it's the weapon of the enemy. So I've written that down so I don't get confused later if I do find it. Let's see then, what else can we pursue? We're still missing something from Hammerstone Press. We have to get all of the novels organized. I'm not sure they're important, right? I'm not pursuing them yet because I'm just like, is it just for fun or is it important? Especially that since we have 48 out of 50 names, so that would imply there's only the weapon of the enemy and the primitive man he who remains that are the two things we have to name, and the rest are, you know, if you wanna be a completionist. Still missing something from Silverton. I assume it's that letter that he writes after he's resurrected. And the Church of the Rampaging Christ. And it's potentially linked from this because it says RC89 and then there's a star, which means there's an open link. So maybe we should revisit it. Like, I've obviously learned a lot more about how to read into the data. So see if this takes us anywhere. So yes, this is the anti-scientific organization that I think originally we got here because they were mentioned as destroying one of the books that were to do with the DMEs. Yes, this is a warning that steered away from things like that. Did we read Cecil's note here? Because obviously early on we didn't know about reading notes. The author was probably Erstwhistle. I cannot recommend his 1932 Screed either. A terrible namesake to have. He's still alive. He published something this very year. Okay, so we've learned about a completely new author that we didn't have before. Cecil's namesake, okay, so it's gonna be CE, and is an active member of the Church of the Rampaging Christ. So CE in 1932, and then CE in 74. Well, let's have a look then. CE 32.
I see problems. They move like woodlice, scuttling into the cracks in society.
Okay, but this isn't even something we need to name. This is just an additional book. Cecil Erstwhistle is best known for hurting Anglo-Gaelic relations by destroying the only draft of Le Marchand's masterpiece revisions. Okay, yes, that's how we originally get to the Rampaging Christ. It is a shame he did not destroy his own writing instead. To call this document of corrections foul is to insult rotting corpses and festering sewage, both of whom have a necessary place in this scheme of things. A world without Erstwhistle contribution would be a world improved, as he has recently confirmed. A tadpole of a man. My copy came with a bonus tucked inside. JS38. I would love to know how it came to be there. So JS38 is a Silverton piece of writing, but I think we already have it. Yeah, this is one of the letters that he wrote. That's how, so yeah, this how we can additionally end up on the trail of the letters, but we have already had this. So then the other CE is CE 74.
In a world of fools and cretins, of shifting ideologies and wavering belief, a good fixed man is like a tree in a storm, firm and strong, until finally he breaks.
Once a nincompoop, forever a nincompoop. Trees have deep, anchoring, well-considered roots, and they lose branches to protect the trunk. I hope to meet Erstwhistle one day, so I can steal his crayons. if he ever read GA00, which now we know it's the Bible, I would eat an ICB. Not sure what this means. It's not a code. Okay, but that only links us to the Bible and not anything else. And I think it said that this was everything. Yes, this was everything for him. But that still didn't complete the rampaging Christ situation, right? It just gave us yet another offer that we had to complete. So going back to ES92, because there is still information here, right? And specifically, Aliz saying she added 2 more things. So 2 more links that are undiscovered. One you're going to hate and one the weapon of the enemy. Has me scared. Just as Emma is writing her last book, right? So this is where I went, oh, something's gonna be written in 92, which says the worst of the worst came back. So I'm wondering now whether it could be the Church of the Rampaging Christ, right? Considering that he's added their stuff being like, they are terrible, you know, stay away from them. Is that, or is it Joshua Silverton 92, right? Is that leading us to the letter that he wrote after he got resurrected? I mean, yes, she's already married in 92 to Silverton, so could have that happened already? You know, how long has the situation been going on? So I kind of want to try those options, right? Rampaging Christ 92, Joshua Silverton 92. See if that leads us anywhere. So RC 92. It is something. So Aliz added this one. I found this on the floor of the archive hall, Dad. Someone was in here in the years I was away. I know how they found us. My mother's grandfather, William Dooler, was one of the original members. What if they're still watching? He was one of the original members of the Church of the Rampaging Christ? Because that would be an interesting family history. But also, this brings us to, like, yes, Beatrice was Dooler, and her father was also named William, and then she named her son William, though I thought it was after the pirates rather than after her father. Maybe both, right? It kind of worked up to that. I wonder if this is to do with, like, the riddle she left for the password, right? Because it was something about 2 men and stuff like that, and then the password is Will. So maybe there was a way for us to find enough material and work out the password, but before I even had a chance to do it, right? Before I had the chance to find this information, because I'm pretty sure this is the first time I'm seeing William Dooler in here, the game was like, oh, that's the password. So I'm kind of wondering about those mechanics again, like the game is feeding us things before we could have reasonably worked it out. Or I've missed this before, I'm saying this is the first time I see it, but actually there was a previous time. Anyway, with this being RC92 and that previous note talking about adding the, what was it, the weapon of the enemy. Could this be the weapon of the enemy then? Because I don't think it's Primitive Man, He Who Remains. And in theater we have all the titles already, so we're not adding any more.
The weapon of the enemy.
When your enemy has an idea, that idea is to be shunned. But the Bible shows us that when your enemy has a weapon, that is God's way of giving that weapon to you. It is meant to be taken. It is meant to be turned.
Ooh, that's actually interesting, right? Because if we're saying this was just lying on the archive hall right here where the computer is, the machine can change reality, and they're saying if your enemy has a weapon, right? Obviously, Rampaging Christ is definitely the enemy of the people here. They didn't like them. They're doing science, and the church is like, no science. They're saying they think it is God's way of telling them, no, you take the time reality changing machine and you use it. So did they used it and made a revision? I mean, at least they tried. So who knows what else has been changed? Okay, so that gives us one thing. And that's the church potentially finished. Like, the picture is not as rendered as faces are, but I think that might be it, because like the literary review, the icon is about the same style. So that's it. So I think that makes sense with coming back to ES92, her saying the worst of the worst came back, right? Because that was kind of their enemy while they were working on this machine. But there is another thing linked to it, right? The other thing he's going to hate. I mean, my other idea here was that it could have been JS who wrote something in 92, right? Before I went to RC to the church. So I'm like, should I still try it? Did multiple things happen in 92? No. So I found a letter written the year I left. So something else in 85, right? When she left. Could that been the extra letter from Silverton then? Could that be what he wrote after he got resurrected? Because that would be after Kendrik's death, right? Because he dies in 1980. And there are very few letters, and especially for the people that are not just leaving notes by working on the machine, right? So that we know that was a letter chain that they were storing in the machine. So is there a JS85? There is. Okay, we're getting somewhere.
Your Arthur has returned from Avalon. You always were the cleverest of the three of us. I'm so glad we get to tell you that now. Every day.
Yes, so she did resurrect him once she has learned the truth. So Aliz made a note about this. I had to tell someone, so wrote this to tell you, Father. I found this letter. It was slipped inside the copy of RC92 I found. So that's the Rampaging Christ again that we just read, dated 1985. I even compared the handwriting. It's definitely Silverton. I know it can't be, and yet I wish I could ask you the question that's in my heart, Father. But I can't ask you. I have to, I suppose, simply believe. Yes, so again, what we've previously spoken about, right? He came back. It was already hinted in some of the other writing, and this is the confirmation. This is the confirmation that he wrote a letter after he died because Emma has resurrected him. But that's still not everything. Interesting. Oh, that's still not everything, because if we go to his index, his Rampage books are indexed under his name, even though in this overview they are under the Isambard Arklovich name, but it might be that we have to complete the two in order for their entries to complete. Before we dig into that, the Hammerstone Press is also not finished. So what is going on there? Let's go to the first one and just work from there. So HPO6 is their manifesto. The idea was to offer anonymous publication, allow writers to speak about committing their reputation to their work. For 2 years, starting in 08, they tried it, then they faltered. Anonymity turned out to be negotiable. Okay, so we have HPO8, but that sentence would imply that there is also HPO9 if it was for 2 years starting at 08. So HPO9. There we go. We found all of the 50 sources. This book outlines the ways our cave-dwelling, animal-clubbing forebears are still very much alive today, acting through us. Distasteful stuff. No wonder the writer hid their name. Otherwise, it is 10 years to the day since this project began. The machine is so different now. I will make a new CC so it can remember its birthday. Okay, so that just links to CC59. We've seen it. But therefore, yes, this must be Primitive Man, He Who Remains. And I mean, matches the content, right? It talks about cave-dwelling, animal-clubbing forebears.
All right then. Primitive Man, He Who Remains.
We've named it.
While parts of mankind have moments of sophistication, vast swatches of us are more than content to sit in our caves, scratching our noses and picking fleas out of our beards. Meat, we devour it. Sunlight, we bathe in it. We are fetid little creatures, make no mistake.
Can we speak to someone? Is that annoying soldier guy still there? Haven't really spoken to him.
How did that happen?
Okay, how did that what happened? No one responds. So our counter has turned now into 50 sources. It's no longer displaying the individual progress, but we still have to get our Rampage books sorted out. So we know the first one was in 32, and then there's one in 42, and there's 7 of them, so we have 4, and I think the 42 actually was the one that said this was the last.
Oh my
book.
god! What did I do? What did I do?
Okay, well, we don't get to go there because as soon as I enter that code, the machine decides we're doing something else, I assume, due to the fact that we have collected all 50 sources and the books are very much optional. Association-based bitwise interpolator, Abbi. Abbi is currently active, 50 sources. Stop process, display results, load previous. So yeah, so now we can display.
This is it. This is everything I need to know.
Yes, revision chain analyze, yes, because the machine, not only it can create sources and stuff that, but it can't analyze the revision, right? It can't figure out how they happened. So that is likely what's going to help us undo EK77, right? So head revision EK77, this is what we want to remove from reality. But it's preceded by JS40, which is Silverton's final work, which I think is the one he writes to basically kill Kendrik. Yes, it's what he sent to Kendrik to drive him crazy. This comes from PK-37, which is one of the novels that Kendrik wrote in order to steal Emma and basically mess with JS. And this is then dependent on Dorothea Pemberton 08. So that was Irrationals. So this is, I think, the DP08, this is Pemberton's work. It doesn't really give us a lot of details, but in the notes it says about the machine being affected, right? The ability to see through walls. Like, this gave this machine the ability to do revisions. And there's this note to Aliz that says, how does a bedridden Victorian woman travel to France and start meeting famous academics? Anyway, I think she dreamt up the whole thing, yes. So it's again this whole thing about her life being weird, right? Was she even real? Was she another person? Was her life rewritten in some weird way? And this is predicated on base revision unknown. Interesting. So we're still missing something, even though she says this is everything we need to know. Other minor single head revisions exist, and we can just say wipe. So do we wipe all of those? Do we just wipe DP08? Or do we still have to figure out what the base revision was? So if we go to wipe from here, it just gets us into here. So we have to figure out which one we want to wipe. So can we wipe DP08? Will that help? Yes. Release DP08 and all associated data? Sure. Do it.
I really hope this works.
Because that one, it cannot rewrite itself, right? Yes, and now the other sources are starting to disappear because they were all created.
Abbi?
Oh, who are
Abbi,
you now?
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you. Is that you, Mr. Caulderly?
Ah, good. There you are. The power ran very hot for a moment. I was concerned we'd blown a vacuum tube.
I am awaiting instructions, yes, because now that we've rewound all of those things,
Abbi?
many things changed, right? Including the fact that Cecil would have never read the letter that killed him, right? Because he read the same letter that killed
Come
Kendrik.
on, Abbi, stop messing around.
And this is Aliz?
Is everything functioning as expected?
You're fine, Abbi. He's being overprotective again.
Well, I mean, Alice, when you've built something with your bare hands...
I had a dream. A world made thin. Like it was ill.
My mother's been feeding in too many ghost stories, Abbi. Don't take them seriously, okay?
Okay, so we're just back to them too.
I'll try not to, Alice.
Good. Well now, perhaps you're ready to do some work?
Are we though? Should we be doing this? Because it seems as soon as we start playing with altering things, things go wrong.
I'm going to have to check the wiring,
Yes.
I think.
If I don't reply immediately, everyone just freaks out in this game.
What do you need me to do?
Activate the machine, please.
Okay. So we just go TR-49, which is where we started with the first time around. Booting complete. Integrity check. 27 sources look at it. Yes, that's what I was saying. They started disappearing, right? Because we deleted one thing that many other things came from. User is Alice, and the year is 1985. So yes, even though it's 85, the year that Alice first time around, it was when she quit. After coming here, her father died in 77, but now he hasn't died. He's here. Association engine active, quantum state very viable, all system cohesive.
What's next?
We'll start with a new entry. Alice?
The new code is AC85.
AC. So this is something else Alice wrote now.
AC85. Okay.
Alright, then let's begin.
Oh, give it a rest, sis.
Oh, give it a rest, sis.
Oh, well, thank you, William. Off you go then, Alice.
But I've just got set up.
Mum sent me to get both of you.
So Liam, who we've had at the start of
Where
it,
would
who
I
was...
be without you two bickering children, eh? Buried alive down here, I shouldn't wonder. Come on, Alice. Shut it off for now.
Yeah, kids, get off the computer.
Liam? Liam?
Abbi, here you are.
All right. Good night, Abbi.
So that's the story of Liam. I may have to reply to them first, because otherwise they're gonna keep pestering me.
Come on then. We better not keep her waiting.
Yes, the William who comes here the first
Out
time
flew
around.
the web and floated wide. The mirror cracked from side to side. The curse is come upon me, cried.
The Liam that comes here the first time around, the one that's trying to undo what happened in the world, he's the son of Cecil and Beatrice that knows about this machine from the fact that his parents worked on it, right? But originally he wasn't truly told about it because originally the wife left and hid the son from Cecil and Cecil from the son. But here in this fixed reality, they're there as a happy family. And yes, I guess that's it. But that means because I've named all of the sources before I organized the books, I didn't actually get to name all of the Rampage books, so that's one thing I missed. I also never finished the maze. I never figured out whether you can defeat the Minotaur or not, or was it just a little thing to have us understand the fact that words can be codes, right? Because that's where basically a lot of that knowledge came from. So that is it for the game. I'm not sure if there are multiple endings because there was an option for us to just shut Abbi down, right? Before we could get to this ending, there was an option for us to just shut it down and not undo the revisions. And then the world would have just remained broken. So I might look into that as a separate maybe bonus thing, see if I can name the novels and see if I can solve the maze and see if there is anything else that I can find. But I think this will be enough for now, right? It's an ending to the game, so I think we've achieved what we came here to achieve. If I can dig up more, I can record that separately. So let me know in the comments what you thought about the game, what you thought about the story in it. Interesting enough, yes, I literally came into it and just from the setup, I was like, Abbi's not a person. Abbi's somehow in the machine, just because we gave me those vibes from another thing I mentioned at the time, from another movie I've watched. And then, yeah, it's turned out to be quite a story. But as it is with those sort of dig up pieces of information games, as you go deeper and deeper, you end up in those cases of you have to dig through things once again just to find those little scraps of information. So probably a lot of this recording is going to be me cutting to the moments that something have happened and cutting away the time I spent being where could there be something? Let's look at my previous videos, see if I've missed something there. So hopefully that was still enjoyable and you've had fun with this one. Okay, so now that we went through the credits, it says Caulderly is safe, but the trap remains. So we haven't actually fixed everything, right? The machine exists and therefore it may still cause the time to be overwritten. So there are definitely other endings to explore, but as I said, I will look into it another time. So if you enjoyed this one, consider liking or subscribing. Thank you to channel members for supporting the channel, and I will see you soon on another adventure.